Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the second day of we have an information packed afternoon for you all, but we have a little setback and we're just waiting for our presenter to come on board. We'll keep it as a little bit of a surprise for you all in terms of who's going to come to address you all. So just bear with us and give us a few minutes until we can get him in the room, okay? So we'll talk to you all shortly. Okay, good afternoon, everyone, again, and welcome Fair here for the Victoria District, designed specially for you, the secondary school students of the Victoria Educational District. So I want to welcome each and every Form 3 student who's in the room with us this afternoon. Welcome to the live. Welcome to a fun-filled information-packed afternoon that we do have for you all. But before we start this session, we just want to talk a little shop a little bit. You all will get the opportunity in each session that we have for you all this afternoon to ask some questions. So what you will see on the screen are three numbers that you all can send your questions to via WhatsApp. And the numbers are 343-7324, 332-8902, and 704-4499. So you can send your questions to any one of those numbers and we will get the presenter to answer your question. So this afternoon, before we get started, we just want to share with you some rules for the session as we go through. the first thing I want you to keep in mind is to be respectful. Not everybody is going to ask a question or express an opinion that you may agree with. So even if you don't agree with it, please, I would ask you not to comment in a hurtful way or in a way that criticizes what the person is asking. All right. So if you wouldn't say it to someone's face, please don't say it to them online either. Don't post or share any inappropriate material because nothing is really private online. So we have a live chat running for you all as well. And if it is enabled and you can put messages in there, please do not post or share anything online. When you're asking your questions, I know it's easy for you all to fall into using SMS language and so on, but try to avoid using the shortened text, the slang terms, and so on. So that'll be easier for us to read your questions and get them across. Be careful with your personal information, both yours and others, so you're not putting it out there as well. Avoid using any humor or sarcasm. Sometimes, if you're not in front of somebody, a person might take something that you say very personally. All right? Chris, I'm sorry, I can't see the rest of the bottom of the slide. So if you could just read out the rest of the netiquette rules for me.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. So continuing with our netiquette rules today, we are encouraging you all to please participate wisely. We are encouraging you all to please ask your questions to the presenters, but we ask you, please make sure your questions are relevant to the service provider that is presenting at the point in time, all right? So to ensure that they could give you the best possible response based on their knowledge and experience. Use the chat responsibly, and thank you all who are on so far for being punctual for this first session for the evening. We also have 3 other sessions following. You'll have a 5-minute break in between each one. As you take your 5-minute break, we encourage you to come back on so that we can begin the other sessions on time. Thank you all so much.
Okay, so you all would have heard that good day, and we want to welcome our first presenter. And so this afternoon we have Mr. Donald McLean with us, and he is from the Professional Barbering School. And so he's going to share some information with us this evening about the exciting profession of being a barber. And he's going to talk a little bit about what it entails, and hopefully we'll get a demonstration as well. So without further ado, Mr. McLean, I hand over to you.
Okay. Good afternoon. It gives me great pleasure to be part of this session. Normally, I'm at the school in person. So this is a great opportunity to basically enlighten persons about the barbering profession. Just checking to see if everyone is hearing me. I hope everyone is.
We're hearing you loud and clear, Mr. McLean.
Okay, sorry, I didn't put on my video. So it gives me great pleasure to be part of this session. Let me just give you a little synopsis of my profession. So my name is Donald James. I'm the owner of Professional Barbering School. I'm the president of the Barbering Association of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm also the founder of the Caribbean Barbering Association. I'm also the chairperson of the Beauty Services Association. And I do a lot of different charity and so forth, Positive Vibes Youth Group and so forth. So my vision is within the youths. Nonetheless, being a pioneer within the industry, to be I'm the first barber instructor or assessor, well, a teacher, certified as teacher from National Training Agency. And I would have developed, written 5 books on the art of barbering. This is one of them, the art of barbering. I would have basically been able to create a curriculum. Right now, just giving you all a heads up, September, if God spare life, we will have barbering being taught in secondary schools. So right now we are working with NAC to basically develop the curriculum to teach a level 1 in secondary schools. Nonetheless, I've been in the industry for the last 30 years, 35 years, more or less. a little history about me in getting into the barbering industry. I have really worked. I've never worked a day in my life in barbering, actually, since I've been doing barbering, because it's actually one of the things that I love doing. And as long as you love doing something, it's really not work. All right. You're just a barbering profession is basically in an air-conditioned environment. You give haircuts and you lime. And at the end of the lime, persons pay you. All right. I would have had my own barbershop when I was about 16 years old. And by 21, I was able to buy my own house. By at least say 23, 24, I actually started my school teaching. I had about 3 barbershops at the time. Right now, I only have 2 barbershops. I basically do training throughout the Caribbean in the organizations and government agencies barbering course. I even do barbering classes within the prison system, and I do youth outreach to schools. So I go into schools and do programs also, and it has been very enlightening. The barbering profession have taught me so many things, and I don't think if I have to choose anything to do in the world, I will ever choose anything but barbering. The barbering profession is simple. It's basically you lime, talk, give somebody a good haircut, and they pay you after. One of the good things about barbering, as long as you learn the profession, you are able to execute it. It's the same thing over and over again. So the most difficult thing is basically learning, understanding haircuts, hair types, and being able to trim them. And in the profession itself, how you become a barber is basically, I would have become a barber by learning from my next barber. Now in the industry, now we have a school. So you come to a school, I go buy a master barber and they teach you how to trim. After you learn how to trim, you buy your tools and equipments. You basically go into a barber shop and ask for, you could go and get certified by the school and then go and work in a barbershop. How the barbershop profession work, you rent a station, you basically put all the tools, get all the tools that you need, you rent a station might be $300 a week, it might be $400 a week. The most exciting thing about barbering for me is the amount of money that you're making barbering. So let us say, for instance, when I'm normally in a workshop with persons, I will ask persons how much money I would like to make. And they will say 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. It depends on what you would like to make. And based on different industry or different work that you could get, you basically will have a payment scale. So that means, say, a person working in KFC and so forth might get about, say, 6,000. A person working in a government work about, say, 9, 10,000, even a police officer, 10, 11,000, and so forth. Managers of organizations might get about, say, 20,000, or managers of business companies, about that. And then you have the lawyers, the doctors, 20, 25 and up. Nonetheless, that those professions that I would have called with the high end, it takes 10 to 15 years of education and training to start making that money. And with the barbering, as long as you learn the profession itself, you will start making money immediately. All right. So this is an easy profession. It's a profession that as long as you learn, you start making. So that means as long as you save and have good financial management, you will be able to save and have as much money as any well-known profession itself. And if you was wondering the income of barbers, the average barber, when you now start, say, your training and so forth, you might make about, say, $2,000 to $3,000 a month. And then eventually, if you're a seasoned barber and you have a good clientele, you might make up to about, say, $8,000 to $9,000 a month. And that's tax-free. Right? Let me make INBERG hear that, because they will want to tax barbers. But most barbers and hairstylists don't really pay tax. They even have NIS, because when I have NIS through different means, but individuals are unable to make that set amount of money via some other means. But as I say, you don't really work, you just lime and you get paid. And as long as you financially manage yourself, you will be able to save your money and have that. So that is an average barber will make about 8,000 to 9,000, sometimes 10,000, depends on the clientele that you have and the different things that you do. So you might be a barber, or you might own the barber shop. So that means you will collect money from all of the barbers, pay your rent, and still, whatever, if you have a station in the shop, still make money in that shop. So you're looking at, if you own a barber shop, at least $15,000 to $20,000 a month within the industry. You might go on to start teaching, have a school. So you might have whatever fee that you're charging within your school, you still make that money, and you still have your shops. And then you have basically where you might be a consultant to help other barbershops open up their shops and so forth. So different avenues within the industry that you could actually make money. And the barber shop or the barbering industry is part of the beauty services industry, where we basically could bridge across and do different things. What can I say about new things in the industry? We have things happening where barbers are not only cutting hair again, they're dyeing, they're styling, they're doing hair enhancements, they are putting on hair on persons, doing like we could say put on male units that a guy who have bald head will basically could get harassed in the evening. So our industry is very excited right now in the sense of how different services that we are doing, facials, face massage. These are some of the things that are happening. I don't know if anyone might have any questions that they might would like to ask as it relates to the profession itself.
All right. So, Mr. McLean, we have one question I'm seeing so far. A student is asking, and I know you would have touched on it before, but you could probably expand a little more. At what age can you start making money via barbering?
The legal working age in Trinidad and Tobago is 18 years. But I will say from personal experience, I started making money when I was 11 years old. So I started trimming and making money around that age. As long as you could give somebody a good haircut and they give you reward, give you finance for the haircut or mark or whatever you're doing, you could start making money. I think my advice in regards to the money that you make now is basically put it aside that you could save up enough money to buy tools that you may need. But any other questions?
Okay, I have a question here. How many years do I have to go to barbering school to become a barber?
Okay, well, at my school, we have different courses. So we have workshops, we have part-time classes, and we have full-time classes. So a workshop is basically for persons who are already trimming already, but they just need to fine-tune and know what is the correct thing for them to do. And it's not a certification class, it's just basically for them to learn, to perfect faster what they've already been doing, and then they will come into the classes. And then we have part-time classes. Part-time class will basically have part-time class will be like 3 months, 1 day a week, 2 persons, 2 hours per session. And what that will entail is the person going through all the things that they need to know, but also doing enough hours that they could actually get certified within the profession. And then we have full-time. So full-time classes is about 2 years, which basically will cover all of the units that you need to basically obtain any international recognition as it relates to use if you want to be a teacher and so forth. So because you need to do all the units, it's about 21. Although the skill units are basically 9. So in the part-time classes, you've covered the 9 practical skill units, but in the full-time, you basically will cover the 9 skill units and also the theory aspect of it, which will give you, if you want to become a teacher, you must do all of those, all of the units. So you have workshops you can do and basically fine-tune your skill. 3 months course that you can do and get certified, or you get full-time if you want to go on to be a teacher, admin, or something within the industry.
What's the average cost?
Excuse me?
What is the average cost to access all the materials and resources needed in the industry? Like the
Okay.
equipment and stuff, the supplies.
Okay, well, the tools that you may need within the industry will cover basically a different range. If you now start, say, $600 will cover some of the tools that you may need to do the class. If you want to advance and have everything, like in a salon, you might have to spend about $1,200. And if you want to basically have the best of the best, you might end up with spending about, say, $2,000, $2,500. But it's a small price to pay, because within this industry, it's not to say every week you have to buy a new machine. As long as you buy your tools and equipments for the profession, that will last you a lifetime. You might just have to sharpen your blades every 3 months. You might just have to buy a razor blade and mentholated spirits. All right, those are the only things that will actually you will have to do within the industry itself. If you're an owner of the shop, you might have to pay your light bill, your light bill, and basically maintain the cleanness of the shop, by cleaning the shop, emptying garbage, and so forth. Maintain your AC. Those are some of the things that you need within the industry.
So another student would like to know, is it a difficult course to do?
Sometimes I'll say, when I now started teaching barbering, I see some people like they can't learn it. The more persons book sense and more on theory, was something that I say, well, it's better if you forget about it, it wouldn't work. But over the years of actually teaching barbering, I realized that anyone can learn barbering as long as you understand the fundamentals and the way that I will deliver certain classes and so forth. It's easy for anyone to learn barbering. It depends on you. Sometimes you might not even be able to read or write, but as long as you could understand or follow instructions and practice a lot, you'll be okay, because you can't do a barbering course and trim nobody. You have to be able to trim about 3-4 persons within the class. So the more that you practice and you retake and you follow instructions correctly, anyone can become a barber.
And with that in mind, some are asking if they can have a demonstration.
I'd have to get somebody to trim. Normally, if I'm in the class with you all now, I'll ask one of the students to come up and trim. So I'll actually trim somebody. So I'm unable to do any demonstrations today. My day is very packed. I have about 5 or 6 different classes to do today. So I'm just doing this as a favor for you all. I really any way that is possible that I could actually share the barbering profession itself. I rarely do that, and encourage person to enter the field. All right. Unfortunately, again, I won't be able to trim anybody today. I could basically talk about the profession itself in the sense of the skills that you may need, what we teach at the school. Basically, when you come to the school, you will learn how to actually do in the core of barbering. You need to know what you have to do when the customer reach, or what you have to do before the customer arrive, when they what you have to do when the customer arrive, and performing the service and departure. So it's separated into 4 sections. And as long as we teach you those 4 sections, you can actually trim within the industry. One thing I could tell you all that most barbers don't know, when I teach how to trim heads, or if I had a demonstration for you or a model for you right now, I would have actually separate the haircut into 4 parts. So I will show you 5 parts. I will show you how to mark. I will show you how to fade someone. I will show you how to give somebody, cut the hair to whatever length that they may need, all right, on top or to the sides, and also how to cut 1 levels, all right? 1 level is like bald head or cutting anything to 1 height. And as long as you can master those 5 elements of barbering, all right, and understand the concept that produces good results in every step, you will be able to trim.
Okay, Mr. McLean, what's the average annual income for a barber?
So the average income for a barber will be $8,000 to $12,000 a month. And that is after expenditures.
Okay, so have roughly about 6 more minutes to have Mr. McLean with us. So anything you want to know about this profession, guys, you know, you like to have your edges clean, you know, your marks in place. Mr. McLean, what about the art of doing eyebrows? Because you know some guys like to get their eyebrows marked and so on. Barbers do those things as well?
Yes, we do. Anything, as I say, the industry has evolved. Things that men, the barbering industry in Trinidad used to be homophobia. So that they basically like don't want to touch a man and they don't want to do certain services. So what has happened because of education and teaching persons how to make extra money, and because of COVID especially, we have barbers going into extra services that they never used to provide before. So from doing facial massage, neck massage, doing eyebrows in the sense of not only marking eyebrows or waxing eyebrows with razor blade, eyebrows and doing eyebrows with razor blade. We have now started doing permanent eyebrows for persons that don't have eyebrows by tattooing our eyebrows on.
And your extra services also includes things like shaving and shaping mustaches and all of those things?
Well, extra service, that's the average or normal service. We have normal service within a barber shop, which will be basically a haircut, a shave, eyebrows. Those are normal services that always existed within the industry. What we are saying, extra service now that has happened in our industry specifically has been where we now shampoo, we color hair, we'll do hair replacement, hair units, make a wig for a man or woman. As I say, permanent eyebrows, also permanent by doing tattoo in your hairline. Persons who have a bald head and they want to have a fade, we could actually tattoo in a fade on someone. That's how far we've reached within the industry itself.
We have another question. What about someone who may have anxiety? They may have extremely shaky hands. Would you recommend that that person gets into barbering?
I've seen persons with those symptoms, from sweaty hands as soon as they start doing something and actually trembling. It's something that after practicing and so forth, for a while you'll get comfortable. I think it's a nerve problem. You feel it might exhaust the person, you feel it might not do a good job. So the anxiety will basically step in. But anyone could do barbering except a blind man or woman. So there's no limit.
Another question, where is your school located and what's the cost to attend?
Okay, my school is located, the original office is Trinity Aruka on the Eastern Main Road. And I also have a branch in San Fernando and I also do classes in Tobago. The cost to attend my school is $4,000. $4,000 for the 3 months course and $15,000 for the full-time classes. And again, the part-time classes, the workshops are $600 and $700. We also have payment plan organized for persons, and we have special programs. So that means we will have a school tour and we'll go to schools and do programs within the schools at a minimum price, and we get sponsors to sponsor it. Also during July, August, summer vacation, we basically have a school program where we basically not only teach barbering, but we do barbering, hairdressing, nails, and so forth for teenagers.
We also have some students asking, would you say that being a barber is fun?
It's fun. I said that from the beginning. I never work a day in my life. So barbering is the best thing. You line, the old talk with your friends, and then they pay you. You're in air condition. You're not in the sun out there. You don't have no big labor to do lift things, move around. You are your own boss. That is the next thing. So some people that can't, they're a boss and that following orders and so forth. This profession itself does that.
Mr. McLean, we have another student asking, how do you actually get the experience? Do you use real people or do you use dummies, etc.?
Okay, so if we're doing scissors cuts, we basically use mannequins to do the vertical cuts, horizontal cuts, or blending, and so forth. We'll do that with the mannequin. But to fade and cut the hair, we basically use individuals. So the school will give free haircuts on certain days for individuals to come and get haircuts. And we also have a process in place where we go to homes. So we have like several elderly homes in Trinidad and Tobago and physically challenged persons homes that we go to, and children orphanage and so forth that we go and give our services for free.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. McLean, we want to thank you for a really informative session. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you know your interest was piqued. Even if you weren't considering barbering before, Mr. McLean would have shared some information with you that might make you think, this might be something I want to get into. We have come to the end of our session, and we do want to say thank you, Mr. McLean, for sharing your time with us. I know it would have been a little bit challenging getting into us this afternoon, but we do thank you for making the effort.
No
and
problem.
we really, really appreciate it. So, ladies and gentlemen, this ends our first session for this afternoon. We will end here, and there will be a short 5-minute break, and you all will come back at 1:45 for the next session. So we will see you shortly.
All right. God bless.
God bless, Mr. McLean.
Everyone, can we go over to the breakout room now, please? Thank you.
Okay, so welcome back again, and we have with us Officer Ramkisoon, Instructor Ramkisoon. He's with the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Services. So this should be a pretty interesting session for those of you who are interested in joining the fire services, you know, helping others, helping to save people. We have Instructor Ramkisoon with us, and I'm going to hand over to him now. I'm just waiting for him to come, his audio to connect actually.
Hi, Ms. Joseph. Mr. Ramkisoon is here with us.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Mr. Ramkisoon, welcome. And the
Good
floor is
afternoon, ma'am.
yours. The floor is yours.
Okay, good. Okay, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Nice. Today's session is just about the requirements to join the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service. It's a very simple process. The requirements are outlined on the website. However, for clarity's sake, I will be giving you some of the requirements that you need to join the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service. It's basic. It's a possession of a minimum of 3 O-level subjects, including English and any other 2 subjects. CSEC General Proficiency grades 1, 2, or 3, or CSEC Basic Proficiency grade 1, or grade AB. It must be at least 166.2 centimeters tall. That's in the case of males. And yes, females also could be candidates in the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service. And a slight bit, you hear the term firefighter. Firefighter is a unisex term. Unisex in that it refers to both male and female. The Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service was established in the year 1951, and prior to this, we were a part of the police service, or in other words, the police service, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, used to undertake firefighting for Trinidad and Tobago. After 1951, the fire service became its own entity, and we start firefighting from then. From then to now, we are celebrating our 70th year anniversary this year. That will be on the 1st of December. As I continue, candidates to be eligible for a firefighter, you must not be under the age of 18. That is to say, you must be between the age of 18 and 35 years of age. Candidates must be a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. That's a must. Also, you are required to have a good character, which must be verified by a fingerprinting process that we undertake. And it's also to be accompanied by a police character of certificate.
Oh.
Candidates, any questions so far? Candidates must be in the possession of certain important documents in order to join the service also. Documents which entails things like the National Identification Card, driver's permit or passport issued by the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. A computerized birth certificate, which must be supported by an affidavit where is applicable. As I could repeat that one, the computerized birth certificate, because time and time again, in the fire service school, we have individuals coming with the old birth paper. We recommend that if you don't have this piece of document, get the computerized one, please. Once you provide all of these documents, and if successful at the screening process means that you have to present yourself in person to the relative venue that we designate, properly dressed. In the case of males, you have to be attired in long sleeve shirt, soft bands, dress shoes, tie. Females properly attired. In most cases, we do not accept persons who are scantily dressed. If a candidate is successful at this process, the candidate will be required to write a written examination. This is not set by the fire service. This is undertaken by the Service Commission of Trinidad and Tobago. Successful candidates will be required to take an test. The word aptitude test simply means that you have to do some physical activities. Physical activities include things like push-ups, a ladder climb. We test to see if you're claustrophobic and all these goodies to ensure that the candidate that we are selecting for the service is adequate to carry the service forward. Those passing this test will then be required to enter interview process by selection of a committee from the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, along with members of the Service Commission. The process sounds long and tardy, however, it is to select the ideal person to become a firefighter, because becoming a firefighter is a very stressful job. It's a big responsibility, so we try as much as possible to dot all our I's, cross all our T's. A successful candidate after the interview process must undergo a medical examination conducted by a medical institution selected by the fire service, because we need healthy individuals, persons free from any ailment, to be in the service, because it's an investment that the country is making in you. When each stage is passed, persons will be moved to another stage according to their scores. So we have a tally sheet from the first process to the last process, you attain a score. At the end of the final stage, a merit list will be done where persons will be placed according to their aggregate score. So as much as possible, do your best at all stages so your score will always be high. You have a better chance of getting into the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service. Candidates will then be selected from this merit list to undergo induction training. A candidate who satisfied these requirements above may be eligible for appointment as a trainee firefighter and will undergo a course of training in Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service School. It doesn't mean to say that each successful candidate will get to become a firefighter in Trinidad and Tobago. It all depends on the number of vacancies we have. As I mentioned before, induction training. Induction training is the process by which we train a civilian, that's the general public of Trinidad and Tobago, to become a firefighter. This process lasts for 4 months. 4 months where modules and topics such as fire chemistry, first aid, fire drills, we do PT on a regular basis. All of these things are tasked to you. And we, the instructors of the fire service school, ensure that you are successful at each one of these endeavors. Because as I said earlier, we are trying to seek to get the ideal person to become a firefighter. Firefighting is a humble job. It's something that you get the opportunity to render humanitarian service to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Right? We have a saying in the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service that many are called, but few are chosen. So once you are chosen, we expect that you come and perform your responsibility to the best of your ability. There are 2 institutions that we train at. We have our training base at the Sabaneta Fire Station, and we have our training base in Tobago at the Roxborough Fire Station. The induction training, the training process, as I mentioned, is 4 months, where individuals are required to spend 4 months living in the dormitories, which are outfitted by the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service. This is to acclimatize you to the conditions that firefighters have to undergo. When I say 4 months you have to live in, the first 6 weeks you will be living in, and thereafter, every other week, you will be going home to your loved ones for a period of 48 hours, then to return. Firefighting is, as I said, is very noble. We ensure that you are successful, as I said. We want you to be happy. I want you to be one of the best person that you could be in the fire service. Any questions so far?
Instructor Ramkisoon.
Yes.
With regard to the application procedure, a student is asking if they do not have a Trinidad and Tobago birth paper, what is the procedure for them?
Right. If you don't have a Trinidad and Tobago with paper, you can become a citizen. You have to become a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. But there are many steps that you can take. The process attaining citizenship, I don't know it too clearly. The Ministry of, pardon me, the Immigration Office, they have a criteria for becoming a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. So you can look up on that website and they will guide you accordingly. Any more questions?
Instructor Ramkisoon, what I would do, I would share my screen briefly so students can see the numbers to send their questions to, okay?
Okay then, as you are going to do that, Miss, I could also elaborate. In the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, it's not just about running into buildings and outing fires. It's not just cutting open vehicles. We also have specialized sections like the LSAR section, the Land, Sea, and Land Search and Rescue Unit. Right, they do all the high angle rescues, like when vehicles go over the cliffs in Maracas, they do rope rescues and stuff like that. They also do rescues like when people they drown, we have specialized divers that does things like that also. We also have a well-equipped IT section as information technology, where, because as you can see, as we are doing right now, everything is coming technologically advanced, and we are trying to keep ourselves up to the time, so to speak, with technology. We also have a fire prevention section. Fire prevention section is a section that deals with enlightening the public and educating the public, as a matter of fact, of the don'ts when the fire safety. They also, all the plans, all that are plans have to come to the fire service through the fire prevention section to get authorization before they build. Certain criteria need to be met. We also have a specialized section. If you have a nice voice, you can answer the telephone, right? This is fire control. This is where calls from Trinidad and Tobago comes in and dispatch. Right? We also have sections in the fire service that also deals with fixing of vehicles, right? Called the engineering section. So if you have a knack for mechanic, to become a mechanic, we have sections for that. We also urge people on a day-to-day basis, and problems we have in Trinidad and Tobago is that of fireworks. People setting off fireworks haphazardly and causing, as the years go by, over the past 5 years, injuries to fireworks have been on the rise. And I could take this opportunity to right now to edify you all. The use of fireworks is very dangerous, right? If a firework don't have a label on it, do not even attempt to use it, because it could be detrimental to you and your loved ones. Right now in Trinidad and Tobago, we are in the middle of the dry season. And during the dry season, what we have on the rise is bushfires, right? Bushfire season also coincides with the dry season. It starts from the 1st of December to June the 30th. Right? And one of the things that we don't take into consideration, besides burning bush, we also endanger the wildlife of Trinidad and Tobago. And this is on the right. Look, right on the mountains are green. And next couple of months, you will see that they are bare. So I take this opportunity to urge you, try to desist from that. One of our main functions in Trinidad and Tobago, and that affects the world, as a matter of fact, is our airport. What we have is aerodrome firefighting, right? And the aerodrome, we are in control of the aerodrome. It depends on, and for those who don't know, if the fire service do not man the airport or the airspace at the airport, planes cannot land. Right? So in other words, no fire service, there would be no airport for international flights whenever the borders open, not international flights alone, domestic flights, because it's very integral that our status as the airport is up, because if we don't have a particular criteria that fits international standard, flying of plane could be a no-no in Trinidad and Tobago. All right, I know I said a mouthful. I would like to converse with you all. If you all have questions, you could feel free, have information. But as you know, you need something to spark the information to get it flowing, because we have day-to-day activities that is get flustered and we need a trigger to get it out.
Hi, I have a question from a student. What is the entry salary when you enter into the service?
Okay, when you begin training in the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, you get a salary. The salary is just about $8,000, right? And when you successfully complete the training process within that after that 4 months, you get additional allowances, which gets your salary just under $10,000 a month, right? As you grow in the service, as you get promoted, as you spend longer time in the service, just like in any job, the salary goes up. And it may seem for what we do, because we are responsible for safety in Trinidad and Tobago. We are the body in Trinidad and Tobago that controls safety. Anything to do with road safety, house safety, building safety, all right, anything safety on the whole in general, they come to fire service because we have a wide umbrella. We cover a lot of things. Any more questions?
Another question, how often do you all recruit applicants?
Okay, it depends on the number of vacancies available in the service. At this point in time, we are on the verge of opening new fire stations. The government started to construct new fire stations because of the growth in population in certain areas. For example, in the central area, they had distributed a lot of houses and more residents in the central area. So the need for fire coverage, public firefighting coverage, it needs to increase. So in the not too distant future, this more years fire stations, that there will no fire stations, and to have these fire stations equipped with power, the vacancies will increase. So one of the ways that you can know if there are vacancies in the service, the fire service publish these facts in the newspaper, right? They pop and online on our websites. They also run these ads for approximately 1 week. 1 week sufficient. When is the selection process, so you can make it avail yourself and present yourself for the fire service to become in this noble career of ours. Questions again?
Officer Rogers, can you just repeat the height requirements, please?
Okay, height requirement. In the case of males, you must be at least 166.25. That's 166.25 and 166.25 centimeters tall in males. Females, you get a little leeway there, is 160 centimeters. Right, so females, 160 centimeters. As I continue, we also have, fire service also have a Facebook page, right? So for those who are interested, you could probably go up on our Facebook page. We also have Instagram, right? We also have TT_fire service, where you could get additional information. I know for a fact on the Facebook pages, you will like what you see, because we have lots of video, interactive video, where you see the firefighters performing the duties that they carry out on a daily basis.
Speaking of videos, Instructor Rogers, I know that you have a video to show, and we have roughly about 12 minutes again. So you just indicate to me when's a good time that you'd like us to run the video.
Right. Right. The video is approximately 7 minutes, between 5 minutes, sorry. So when we are down to about 7 minutes, you can probably give me a heads up and you can run the video.
Okay.
Right. Any more questions?
Instructor
Questions.
Rogers, one question. The entrance exam is usually based on what?
Okay, the entrance exam, for one, that is mathematics people. Mathematics, English, and a general knowledge. General knowledge is where you have to write a piece of writing, do a piece of writing, either a report or a story concerning something to do with current issues, like something happened, or as a report, a simple report like that you do in school. Your witness a fire. What did you see? What did you do? What were your reactions and stuff like that? Right. So it's basically maths, English, and essay question. Right. So it's nothing hard, nothing difficult that you are not accustomed to, because we tailor our entrance exam to accommodate everyone, because we like to give everybody equal opportunity to join the service. All right, any more? Well, as I mentioned, the aptitude, because I think someone will want to know aptitude. What is aptitude? Aptitude is basically how to see how fit you are, and if you could undertake the rigors of of becoming a firefighter, because roughly 80% of our job is physical in the sense that you have to get out there and do something physical, because when a house is burning, you have to pull hose, you have to get in, you have to rescue people. A car is crashed on the highways or the streets, you need to use the equipment. We have what we call that, what you all call the jaws of life. We call it hydraulic cutting tools. These hydraulic cutting tools are a bit on the heavy side. It's have a little weight to it in them. So we train you and guide you accordingly how to use it. The 20%, yes, it's not just running in, not just cutting. Because one of the problems that we are facing today, we have a surge in the hybrid vehicles in our country, and a hybrid vehicle carries at least 20,000 volts of electricity at any given point in time. And if you get in an accident in this, and we come and we go to cut this vehicle to get you out, we could cause injury to you and to us as firefighters, because we don't want to know that the public to know that when we come into rescue, we make a bad cut somewhere and we electrocute everybody, and everybody have to perish, so to speak. Firefighting is very rigorous, right? You have to understand, you have to be able to understand. You've seen smoke, different colors of smoke have different meaning, different colors of flame have different meaning, right? So we do what we call fire science. Fire science, we deal with how this deals with how water reacts with certain components, certain matter. We also deal with analyzing how we throw water on something, how we extinguish our fire, how we get into our vehicle, because for every action, there's an equal or opposite reaction. Questions?
Okay, so Instructor Ramkisoon, I'm gonna run the video at this point because we have roughly about 7 minutes again. And if
That's great.
if of the video there's any time to ask questions, we'll come back to that. Yes?
Okay, not a problem, ma'am.
Okay. So Priya, can you run the video for us, please?
Good day. Welcome to the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service. The Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service was established on the 1st of January 1951. Prior to this, firefighting was undertaken by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. In the fire service, firefighting is done by both males and females, hence the term firefighter. On the 1st of December 1992, the fire service had its first intake of female firefighters, and to date, they play an integral part in the fire service. Did you know two of the biggest fires that Trinidad have ever faced was the Red House Fire in 1903 and the Treasury Fire in 1931? So you want to begin a career in the fire service? Here's some hints and pointers to guide you in this important decision you are about to make. The work carried out by the fire service can be categorized in the following areas: to preserve life, to prevent the destruction of property by fire or other natural disasters, and to render humanitarian services. The entry requirement for the fire service is very simple. You must be between the ages of 18 and 35 years of age. Be of good character as evidenced by a police character of certificate. Passes include 3 CXC subjects. In general proficiency passes grade 1, 2, and 3, or the possession of a GCE ordinary level passes in English language and 2 other subjects, A, B, or C. You must be of good physique, that's a must, and at least 166.5 centimeters for males, and in the case of females, 160 centimeters. Selection for training carry out the following process. First, there's a preliminary screening, followed by an entrance examination, an aptitude test, an interview process, and last but not least, a medical examination. Recruitment and induction training is undertaken by the fire service and lasts for approximately 4 months. Recruits are trained in the following areas: fire science, foot drills, hydraulics and pump operation, ladder drills, first aid, electricity, just to name a few. Hope to see you soon to provide an effective and efficient fire safety and emergency service for the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Let's go.
Okay. So we want to thank you, Instructor Ramkissoon, for such an informative presentation. Any other questions? We don't have time at this point to take them, but we will try to see how best we can address them. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for our second session. Instructor Ramkissoon, we want to express our heartfelt thanks to you for joining us this afternoon to share with our Form 3s the whole business of being a firefighter and how they can go across, get into being a firefighter. So ladies and gentlemen, this ends our second session for this afternoon. And again, as before, we have a short 5-minute break. So if you want to go, get a drink, refresh yourself and come back, we will come back at 2:30. So we will see you all then.
Ma'am, before I leave, on behalf of the Chief Fire Officer and the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, young firefighters.
Thank you, Instructor Ramkissoon. Please relay our thanks as well to the Chief Fire Officer.
Okay, have a pleasant afternoon.
Okay, so we're back live once more. And this afternoon, we have with us from Trinidad Tower Crane, Manu. And Mr. Manu is with, like I said, Trinidad Tower Crane Services. And they are the only NTA accredited institution in the country that awards the Caribbean vocational qualification in construction material handling equipment sector, such as tower cranes, mobile cranes, forklifts, boom trucks, excavators, etc. So I will hand over to Mr. Manu and let Mr. Manu tell you a little bit more about his organization and about getting into this field. So Mr. Manu, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. All right, so good afternoon to all again. As Ms. Joseph pointed out, my name is Mr. Kemraj Manu, and I'm with the organization Trinidad Tower Cranes Services Limited. Right, with me, I'll have joining me in a moment the directors of the company, Mr. Roland Babulal and Mr. Ganesh Babulal. Right, so as Ms. Joseph mentioned, we are the only accredited institution in Trinidad and Tobago that delivers CVQ certification for training and certification in cranes and heavy equipment, right? So that is your lifting equipment, earth moving equipment, these kind of things, right? And we had a unique program that was at one point in time gate approved as well. All right, so without further ado, let me begin our presentation where we introduce our company. Okay, great. So as some of you will know, this the beginning sign is the CN Tower, and that is actually the home of where the company started in Canada. Okay, so Trinidad Tower Crane Services Incorporated. Our seminar since 2017, Institute of Heavy Equipment Training. Right, so some of the things that will be discussed with you today is our parent company, Caribbean Tower Cranes, CTC, Canada, right? Our Trinidad associate, Trinidad Tower Crane Services Incorporated. Heavy equipment training, we will also speak about our accreditation body, National Training Agency, right? We'll speak about the certifications in which we are accredited to offer under the NTA, which is the Caribbean Vocational Qualifications, and some funding assistance as well. And of course, you'll facilitate your questions. So let's begin with the parent company, Caribbean Tower Cranes Limited in Canada, right? And the purpose of giving you this is to show you the background in which it is you're receiving your education. So Our parent company, Caribbean Tower Cranes Canada, right, been operational since 2002, headed by Mr. Ganesh Sami Babulal. He's our president, and he is a local Trinbagonian person as well, right? And his company covered the whole of North America, South America, and the Caribbean, right? The question is, you'll ask yourself is, how are we different as training providers? Well, again, we are different because the company has years of experience in the construction field, right? So we're not only an institute where we perform academia and all our work is theory-based, right? But the company and the directors of the company, we have our background in the construction field as well, right? What we bring to the table is 30 plus years of experience in the construction sector from North America, right? From several projects ranging from residential, commercial, infrastructure, and others, right? International project experience of projects were technology driven. We have to work in extreme weather conditions, and certification and recognition of our operators and so on. So this here is our president, Mr. Ganesh Babulal, right? As you see here, from something to nothing, he actually began his career in Trinidad and Tobago as a welder by trade. And then he got the opportunity to operate equipment on some of his jobs. And from there, he actually took it upon himself to become more knowledgeable, more experienced in the equipment. And he actually took the equipment across to North America and Canada. So Mr. Babulal started his career with a company called Pipecon BV, right? They had a 40-inch pipeline from Piaco to Laventille, right? Where he moved on afterwards to Iscot, formerly known as ArcelorMittal. At this time there at Mittal, he began to operate the Pettibone crane, or a neck breaker. And the reason I call this crane a neck breaker is because the cab, if you notice, does not rotate. So to look to the back and the side, you have to bend your neck and so on. And from there, he went up to bigger equipment such as the Tadano 80, 50-ton cranes. So he started with the smaller cranes and worked his way up to the bigger cranes in the company. Eventually, he made it to some of the higher capacity cranes, the biggest capacity cranes on the shop. This here is a 200-ton ladle crane in the melt shop. And as you see, it has a very high capacity, 200 tons, and utilized for you moving the molten steel and so on. With his experience, Mr. Babulal took it upon himself to migrate to North America, to Canada, right? And there he began his journey as a tower crane operator, right? A tower crane operator, he began working on 6-story parking garage. So he started off with some of these smaller projects, the 6-story buildings. And eventually, to the epiphany of his career, he was able to reach 60-story high-rise buildings. Now, these cranes for these buildings, they only give to certain operators that are competent and experienced. In 2002, Mr. Babulal used his experience, his North American, his Canadian experience, and his experience and time in the operator's chair to open his company, which is Caribbean Tower Cranes in 2002, right? And that's a picture of the head office there in Queenssplit Drive in Canada, right? This is the team in Canada. As you'll see, is a mix of local people from Trinidad and Tobago, from the Caribbean, and from North America and Canada as well. Mr. Babulal took members of from Trinidad and Tobago and brought them into Canada and had them work as operators and erectors and dismantlers of cranes and tower cranes and so on, right? And as you can see to the bottom, on the bottom left-hand corner there, that is our other director, Mr. Roland Babulal, who you'll meet in a bit. And these are some of the children of the employees of Caribbean Tower Cranes. So again, Mr. Babulal founded and opened his company, and he kept the Caribbean name with him, Caribbean Tower Cranes. Now, Caribbean Tower Cranes was responsible for providing cranes, tower cranes, and crane parts, and operators and service and so on for a lot of the larger projects in North America, right? For instance, this one here is the first job that Mr. Babulal gave with his company, right? And this is actually Mr. Babulal's crane. right? And this is for an international airport, right? So this is the first job landed by Caribbean Tower Cranes in Canada, right? So it was a massive project, a $350 million expansion of the airport, including certain things like monorails and so on, right? It was a PICO 1600 crane, 50 meters of jib, 30 meters height, and a maximum capacity of 10 tons. This crane was on that project for 12 months. Right, this is how the completed terminal looks after completion. Right, up next, Mr. Babulal had one of his cranes on the University of Toronto. So similar to how we have the University of Trinidad and Tobago, there's the University of Toronto in Canada, and his crane was utilized, again, a PICO 1600 tower crane was utilized to build up facilities, right? So it was an extension of the science building, right? 5,277 square meters to create a 250-seat auditorium, right? Again, Caribbean Tower Crane supplied a 1600 2000 PICO for this project, standing 30 meters high, 50 meters of jib. The duration was 10 months. After these, Mr. Babulal had projects such as water treatment plants, right, where he supplied 2000 tower cranes as well. These were his cranes again, right, and this was by the Ontario Ministry, right, North Bay Water Supply System. Again, for structures like hospital and so on, Mr. Babulal supplied SK Pioneer 316, 315 for his hospital project, right? These cranes are very large cranes with very high capacities, right? We actually have one of these such cranes in Trinidad and Tobago currently that will be going off into a job in San Fernando shortly. This is how the completed project looked. Hilton Garden Inn Hotels, right? CTC supplied a PC 1400 tower crane. This is the erection process of the crane, right? For a 9-story, 152-suite hotel west of Toronto, right? Caribbean Tower Cranes were awarded this job. Again, it was a 10-month contract job. Yorkdale Mall extension. So this is one of the bigger retail malls, the outlet malls in Canada, right? And they are the ones that sell all the like high-end stuff, the Gucci and the Prada and that kind of thing. And Mr. Babulal SK315 crane was the one that selected to have this job done, right? The $220 million project, right? 40 new stories, 800 more parking lots, bigger food court, and so on. This is how the completed project looks. Again, one of his cranes were utilized in Waterloo, water treatment plant in Waterloo, $100 million project for this wastewater treatment plant, right? They're creating a brand new state-of-the-art biosolids and headwork building. Again, Mr. Babulal received this project, which ran for 17 months. And this is how some of the completed projects looked. The Western Element Hotel, Caribbean Tower Crane supply again a SK315 tower crane to get this project done. And this is how the completed project looked. Again, we had projects for buildings, accommodation for Waterloo, Ontario, standing 260 feet. So this is a university residential facility, right? And what they did with this, they utilized our cranes to expand, right? This crane was what we call the tallest freestanding tower crane in Waterloo. And what I mean by the tallest freestanding crane, right? With tower cranes, after you reach a certain height, the crane, the tower section is required to tie into the building or the structure for support. And with this crane, Mr. Babulal was able to get engineering and allow him to freestand this crane. So because there was construction around the building, they were unable to tie into the building. So with technology and engineering, Mr. Babulal was able to freestand this crane to 260 feet, which was the tallest freestanding tower crane in Waterloo. And this is how the completed project looked. Again, Mr. Babulal's company had jobs in Trinidad and Tobago. For instance, these were the cranes that did One Woodbrook Place. Mr. Babulal's company was called on to dismantle these cranes. These cranes are some of the tallest cranes in Trinidad and Tobago. These were the cranes that did, like I mentioned, One Woodbrook Place. And Mr. Babulal company had the job of dismantling these tall cranes. The Parkade and Gulf City Mall, right? Again, a tower crane. Mr. Babulal had the project to dismantle this tower crane as well. This project was scheduled for a couple of days, and it was done in one day with the utilization of all the international boys as well as local boys. So Mr. Babulal is the gentleman standing to the right there. And as you can see, we have members of the Trinidadian team here. And you'll see some Canadian fellas, and you'll see the gentleman in the red there. That is one of Mr. Babulal's son. He is currently a crane erector in Canada. To continue, Hilton Hotels in Barbados. Mr. Babulal had a Liebherr 200 HC tower crane, and these were the cranes now that would jack themselves into place. So your regular tower cranes would require a big mobile crane to erect. These cranes now, they actually erect them to a certain point and then they erect themselves. This is how the completed project looked. So now we come to the Institute of Heavy Equipment Training. This is where Mr. Babulal brought his experience, his exposure in international markets and so on, right, to Trinidad and Tobago. As a returning resident, he came here to share his vision and share everything he has learned in, and all the knowledge he has learned in the North American and Canadian markets, right? So our institute, Trinidad Tower Crane Services Limited, right, is accredited under the National Training Agency, which acts under the Ministry of Education, right? And we are accredited toward Caribbean Vocational Qualification, or CVQ certificates, right? These certificates are recognized throughout the CARICOM, so your Caribbean nations. If you do our training here and you go to the other nations to work, our certificate is recognized. With special stress on skills and safety, compliant with OSHA, we do training in a variety of methods. So because we're doing skills training, we have our theoretical training. We also have simulation training before we actually go onto the equipment. And then we do actual hands-on practical on the equipment. All of our training program and courses, we have induced Canadian standards and content. We have first time ever simulation training in Trinidad and Tobago, and the actual hands-on on the machine. So being the sister venture to Caribbean Tower Cranes, again headed by Mr. Ganesh and Roland Babulal, right? Trinidad Tower Crane Services Limited covers the Caribbean islands, South America, with multiple business opportunities. So this is our accreditation under the Ministry of Education, under the National Training Agency, or center approval to award Caribbean Vocational Qualification. With this here, we have also updated from a level 2 accreditation to a level 3. So we offer CVQ at a level 3 for cranes and heavy equipment. This here is our Workforce Assessment Center approval. And what this allows us to do, right? We can have someone who has the experience but has no prior certification. We are accredited to assess them, and we can do a gap analysis, filling in the gaps missed, and having the person approved. So what we are about today, right? As our motto says, training today for tomorrow's future, right? Right now with our construction and projects and so on, there is need for labor, skilled labor, right? There are several projects that are ongoing. There are several projects new projects and so on that require skilled labor, such as the Debe UE campus and so on that requires labor, and they fall in our purview of training. This is a previous skills needs survey. Just to illustrate, as you would see here, the highest total shortage on top on yellow there was in the field of construction. And this is where we are training in the field of. Right, so these were some of the ongoing projects. The UE Debe campus, the Solomon Hochoy highway extension. These projects had tremendous amount of equipment, Coover Children's Hospital, and so on, right? So a bit about the program that we offer, right? We offer CVQ training in all civil construction material handling equipment in terms of lifting equipment, moving equipment, and so on. Just to give an idea here of the content we cover. For instance, our forklift training program, we go from safety laws and policies straight through the pre-operational checks of the equipment, operating the equipment, operating our own personnel, basic arithmetic and conversions, hand signals and communication, load security and integrity, stacking and destacking, unloading, driving on inclines and ramps, loading trailers, refueling and recharge, shutdown and parking. So the difference with our program is very comprehensive. Again, we incorporated North American and Canadian content into our program, right? That makes for a very unique program in Trinidad and Tobago. Again, the boom truck, we started with safety laws and policies, kinds and components, definition and terminology, basic arithmetic and load calculations, proximity of approach or working around power lines, signals and communication, truck stability setup, pre-use inspection, safe operations, rigging and rigging hardware, and so on. And then to the bigger lifting equipment, such as the mobile crane, where we focus more heavily on practical, right? So we consider again crane safety, types, components, operation, rigging, maintenance, load setup, stability, load calculations. And of course, we have the tower crane training, right? Again, before we go on to these equipment, we start off with the crane simulation activities, right? Then we put you to active crane operation, signal and communication, pre-operational check and inspection, crane maintenance procedures, lifting procedures, rigging practices. And of course, we have training with the earth moving equipment as well. We have CVQ certifications for these, excavator, backhoe, and so on. We are accredited by the National Training Agency of Trinidad and Tobago to offer CVQ qualifications and so on. So that was basically a presentation on our company and what it is we offer in terms of our training, our background in training, and so on, right? And what we would like to do now is we just like to take you on a little tour of the facility. If you have any questions in the meantime, please feel free to ask any questions at the point in time while we go for our tour.
Okay, Mr. Manu, we're looking forward to the tour. We have roughly about 15 minutes again before the session ends. So once we do the tour and come back in, we'll take questions if there's still time.
Okay, sure. Okay, good. You all hear me there?
Yes, we are.
All right, good. Right, so this here is one of our classrooms, right? This is one of our rigging room. As you can see, we have all our rigging here in this room. So rigging is something that is heavily used in industry and something that requires certification. So anyway, you go to work and you have to perform rigging activities. And the first thing they ask for is your certifications. Right? Rigging is where you actually slightly load onto the crane or your lifting equipment. Right? If you look here, this is some examples that we do in some of our trainings for load calculations, where you actually require to calculate the weight of objects prior to lifting. This here is actually calculating the weight for B and IB. Right? Simulations, for simulations, as you will see, we have here our crane seat with joystick setup for our simulators. Right? These are utilized before we go on to the practical aspect of the training. Again, these are all your some of our and so on. The students that went through our training program. We do have after the students graduated. Every couple of months. This is another training room here. These here are some of the classes. You see, we have classes of 15. Right, all these trainings. We actually have a number of these trainings as well. We have classes of 14 graduation. Class of 50 students. Classes of 50. Yeah, so no. So back to where we started before the tour of the facility. So what I'd like to ask, are there any at this point any questions for us?
Yes, I have a question. What is the procedure and pre-qualifications to register?
All right. So our programs being skill-based programs, right? What we ask for is essentially that you could have a basic understanding of basic English to be able to read and write basic English. When you come to register, if the need arises, we may ask you to clear aptitude test, and the aptitude test is basically to assess your basic understanding of English and that sort of thing. We don't have any other types of prerequisites per se. If it is you want to get into the operator program, such as the forklift, a lot of young people start off with the forklift, right? Because they get jobs easily available with the forklift, right? We ask for age of at least 17 years old, right? And once you have the ability to drive and operate a vehicle. Anything
And
else? Yeah, go ahead.
Is there any lessons that you must have in order to do the training?
No. We don't require any license. You can start up with the training, and of course, as you go on and you go on to the bigger equipment, we encourage you to go on. You could get the other license and so on, but there's no license requirement to start up with the training, especially with the forklift.
Okay. And how often is this training being held?
This training is continuously. We typically go for classes like every month or so, but currently what we're doing online classes, and with the online classes, we actually start classes as the need arises.
Okay, all right, thank you. And could you tell me what are the educational requirements, like how many subjects, so to speak?
So, well, with our training being skills training, we just ask for your understanding of basic English and so on, reading and writing. We don't have a subject threshold, so to say.
Okay, all right.
Right. One more thing, let me add. Right. You all could go to visit our Facebook page, Trinidad Tower Cranes. Right. We are also on Instagram and TikTok, Trinidad Tower Cranes. You can visit our website, www.ctowercranes.com. Right. You get all more information on our training and the accreditation and the experience behind our training. You'll also find our office contacts if you need any additional information to join our programs.
A student is asking about the, in terms of the demand in the sector, once you receive the training, how easy it is to access the job?
Well, with that, right now there are projects that the government and also the private sector are initiating to stimulate the economy. Right now, we actually have cranes on several projects ongoing. So there is currently the need for it, and the need will grow with time going by. The only thing with the COVID, as we start to live with COVID, every more projects are coming and so
on. Okay, thank you.
All right, so students are also interested in knowing what's the average salary for a tower crane operator.
Well, the average salary is what happens sometimes you work companies pay by height, so the higher you go, the bigger your salary is and so on. So crane operators work for a pretty decent salary. You could start anywhere from the smaller cranes from $50 an hour plus as you go up to the bigger cranes. Let me introduce you to Managing Director, Mr. Roland Babulal. And you could pass on a question to both of us as well.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I hope everything is all well. I see that Kemrat, one of our main instructors, is informing you about our school and kind of what we do as a company. We kind of more deal with a lot of heavy equipment training, but our roots come from Canada, and I want you to let you know now that we are Trinidadian, but I want to let you know that some of our courses are aligned and mapped against international standards. So, some of the North American standards and so on and so forth. So I just want to let you, and then also for the CVQ side of it, we are a CVQ at a level 3. So I'm going to pass it on back to Kemrat.
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, a student would also like to know if you all do a lot of work outside of Trinidad.
Sure, we do.
Right. Okay. So how it works now, if you want to go outside of Trinidad and Tobago, so you guys know of the CVQs and so on. So what you would have to do is you would have to go and meet the requirements in either Canada or the United States. So let's just talk about like Canada. So in Canada now, it would take you about 5 years to get a license, and they call that something like a red seal. They go through apprenticeship programs, and it's kind of schooling and going back and forth into the apprenticeship. But what can be done, to advise the the students, is you can challenge that test that's in Canada. And how you would challenge that is that you have to have a certificate or training accredited by the government entities in either Trinidad or Tobago. And you need to get like working hours. So I believe it's about 5,000 working hours that you can go and you can challenge this test. So again, now what I was trying to mention before is we've aligned our courses to some of those standards now. So for that transition for any Trinidad or Tobagonian to come across to Canada or the States, it could be a simpler process. The good thing about it too as well is other than what we do as a heavy equipment school, we actually rent out cranes for a living. So we rent, we sell them, we service them, we erect and dismantle tower cranes and different mobile cranes and so on. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, Mr. Babulal, it does. Thank you very much for sharing with us, both you and Mr. Manu. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of this session and the end of our time period. But ladies and gentlemen, you did hear Mr. Manu would have invited you to check out any of their social media pages, etc. So we just want to thank you both gentlemen for joining us this evening and for sharing about Trinidad Tower Cranes and about the opportunities that are available and the options that are available to our students who may want to get into this field. So we thank you for partnering with us. And ladies and gentlemen, we have roughly about 4 minutes between this session and the next. So if you want to take a quick break, and we will come back in for 3:15. Yes? So thank you again, gentlemen.
All right, thank you very much.
Take care.
Welcome. Mr. Simmons, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
No.
All right, so good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen, and we have come to the very last, Mr. Lyndon Simmons of the University of the Southern Caribbean. So I will hand the floor over to Mr. Simmons. He will tell you a little bit about USC, about the programs there, and about getting in. So Mr. Simmons, welcome.
Thank you so very kindly, and a pleasant good evening to everyone.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Simmons. We're hearing you.
All right, so before I begin, I'm just going to show a very short video. Queuing that up at the moment.
Rising up like a phoenix's, been tired of pushed down the grounds. Speaking my heart like it really is, 'cause I can't take another no. I see, I like, I go, I get, no one can hold me back. I see, I like, I go, I get, go, I get, go, I get, go, I get now.
All right, so good afternoon, everyone, again. My name is Lyndon Simmons, and I'm a recruitment officer attached at the University of the Southern Caribbean. I have been working at the University of the Southern Caribbean for the past 7 years, and it's my pleasure to be with you all today to share some information as it relates to USC, your future, and careers as you move from one phase to the other, which is Form 3 into Form 4, to begin preparing for your CSEC examination. All right, so at this time I will play another video before I start the actual presentation again. Yes. so that was the University of the Southern Caribbean. We are one of the 3 universities in Trinidad and Tobago, and we offer a variety of degree programs. All right, now, I would like this session to be an interactive one, so I'm hoping that I would get through some responses by this question I'm about to ask. So I'm not able to see who I have on the platform, but I want to ask this question today. If you had a choice to be successful or unsuccessful, which would you choose and why? If you had a choice to be successful or unsuccessful, which would you choose and why? So I just want to enter very briefly some responses to that question. Success or unsuccess and why? Anybody care to share?
All right, Mr. Simmons, our students are viewing the live stream on YouTube. So as soon as we get some responses on YouTube, we will read their answers for you.
Okay, all right. Success or unsuccessful? Which one and why? Now, don't play shy for me, right? Even though I'm not able to hear you, I know that you can type. I know that you're not shy young people, because sometimes when I visit the secondary school and I look at you break time, you know, you're down the hall, you say, "Hey, dog boy, what you see?" So you're shouting at the top of your voices. So I know that you all can speak. I know that you're very interactive. So I just want to hear some responses, or just type some responses in the comments. If you want, if you have the choice to be successful or unsuccessful, which one do you choose and why? Anybody?
Right. So we have a student saying that they would like to be successful because they would feel more fulfilled.
Right. Okay, good. Excellent. Excellent. Any other response?
Yes, another response is that they would choose to be successful because they want to have a future.
All right. You want to have a future. Okay, beautiful. Beautiful. That's some excellent responses. What about in terms of anybody thinking along the lines of finances at all? Finance, anybody thinking along the lines of finance?
Another student is saying that it's going to give you a good reputation.
Right, yes, it's going to give you a good reputation. Yes, so all of those are excellent responses. And so many people oftentimes would like to become successful, right? But the thing about it is you have to understand that life is about choices, my young friends. Life is about choices. So you have reached to Form 3, an opportunity that many people may not have had, all right? So you've reached the Form 3 and you're now going over the river into Form 4 to begin preparation for CSEC examination at the end of Form 5. Now, the choices that you make today will affect you tomorrow, and I want you to understand and to pin that in your mind. The choices that you make today will affect you tomorrow. So, in essence, the mere fact of you choosing to be here today is a choice that you make, that you made, right? The mere fact of you being here is a choice that you're making, right? You could have said, boy, I don't want to hear them now, boy. What them can really tell me, dog, boy? Oh God, want to miss on them, but miss on them want to have career fear. Career fear for what? That ain't gonna benefit me. Now it's a choice that you're making to be here because you are thinking in your mind that coming to this career fair would give you some added benefit, right? And you're quite correct, all right? Because this prepares you for your future. Now, everything that you do as it relates to choices, you have to understand that there are always consequences of your actions, all right? So perhaps you want to become successful because you want to get a good job, you want to get a good reputation, you'll feel more fulfilled. All of these are rewards that you will be receiving when you are successful. And this is where the University of the Southern Caribbean comes in, where we take you from where you are to where you want to be in life. So for example, some of you all may make the choice to become nurses now. And I want as I go into the different types of careers and stuff like that, for you to understand first and foremost that whatever careers that you're looking to get into, please, I beg of you, ensure that it's something that you're passionate about. Now, a lot of people think about, well, boy, I want to make a lot of money, boy, I want to be blinging and ting. I want to have the nicest weave in my hair. I want to have the biggest chain, the nicest car, the biggest house, ting, 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 yeah, right. All of these things are good. But if you are doing something that you're not passionate about, chances are that you may get ill, because stress is something that kills. That's a reality. So if you have to get up every day and you're like, boy, I have to go to that work, boy, oh God, them boss and them sickening, boy, and stuff like that, you more than likely you may not live a very long fulfilled life, right? So I implore you, ensure that it's something that you're passionate about. Now, a lot of people get into careers sometimes because of competition. Now, I can give you very quickly, you know, a little history. Now, for me, I didn't want to become nothing anybody wanted to become. I didn't envy anybody, things like that, because to me that didn't really make sense, right? But, you know, depending on your situation at home, in your environment, etc., it might be that somebody's trying to outdo somebody. Well, my cousin is a doctor, so I want to become a doctor too. But medicine may not be for you. You need to think about that as well. So that now you get into doing medicine, you realize, oh gosh, I really cut out for this thing, you know. Whereas you might have been doing pretty well in probably something like psychology, becoming a guidance officer because you might like talking, or a radio announcer, you know, or a chef, you know. As the young people say, everybody had to eat a food. So, you know, sometimes people frown on things. Everybody look at the doctor and the lawyer, but there's so many other things that careers that you can get into, all right? So you might be looking at nursing, you might be looking at becoming a chef, you might be looking at becoming a lawyer, a teacher. Now, that's something that a lot of people shy away from. Now, I'm sure if I ask the question, how many people want to be teachers, become teachers? Not many of you want to become teachers, because I'm thinking that perhaps you don't want to become a teacher because you're thinking 10 years down the road, you have to deal with children like yourself, or like your friends. So, you know, you're kind of shy away from that teaching. You're kind of shy away from it. But whatever you're getting to, it is very, very important that you are passionate about what you want to do, right? Now, for many of you, you may not know exactly what you want to get into just yet, but that's okay. You have some time in order to, you know, to get yourself settled and stuff like that, right? But this is the point in Form 3 where you're going to make that deciding decision. And this is where your teachers come into play. These are why these career fairs are happening. It's one of the reasons why you have guidance officers. And let me also say that guidance officers are not always or only for, you know, when you have stressful situations. No, it's to also help you to get your bearings correct as it relates to navigating your future, right? And your future is equally important. So for me, you know, I never had, my parents never had a secondary school education. So you are a very fortunate bunch of young people. I was very fortunate as well, because I kind of changed my family's socio-economic status, because I was one of the first to go into secondary school and stuff like that. So that for me, I knew right there and then that I couldn't really slack away from what I really want to become, because I like to dress, I like suits, I like shoes, I like nice things, right? So I knew from the onset that I had to put in the work in order to get the results, right? So you might be in a point in your life right now where you're thinking to yourself, well, you know, things are not going pretty well, but of course, all hope is not lost. Where USC comes into play, we have now a number of degree programs that you might be interested in. Now, we don't have everything that you might be interested in, but our degrees basically fall into 5 schools, and these schools are the School of Theology and Religion. So if you want to become a pastor, you want to become a chaplain, those types of areas, you have to do a degree in theology, and we offer that at the University of Southern Caribbean. We also have the School of Business and in entrepreneurship. Within that school, we have things like economics, we have accounting, we have the BBA simply means the Bachelor's of Business Administration in. We have finance, we have hospitality and tourism management, we have management, etc. Right? So perhaps you want to become a banker, you want to own your own business, you want to become an HR director. Those are the areas that the business areas, the area that you're going to get into. One of the larger schools that we have is the School of Science and Technology and Allied Health. There's where our doctors come from, our nurses, our computer technicians, anything in the computer, IT, occupational therapy, therapists, chemists, etc. They come from that area. Then we have the School of Education and Humanities. There is where the librarians come from there. The teachers come from there. Who again comes from there? Education, anything in the educational field, whether you want to become a lecturer, teacher, etc. We cater for that. Primary school. We have from the primary school straight up to getting to your masters and PhD, etc. And of course, well, that's not your level just yet, PhD and stuff. So you just be basically dealing with subjects that will get you into the careers that you want to get into. And then we have finally the School of Social Sciences. There's where this psychologists, the social workers, so you want to do psychology, social work, behavioral science is a combination of psychology and sociology. So if you want to get into that, you like counseling people, listening to people, understanding, looking and observing how and thinking about why people behave the way they behave, that's the area for you. All right, so those 5 schools. Generally across the board, USC requires you to have 5 CSEC passes in most cases, math, English, and any other 3 CSEC passes. The same amount of subject you need to work KFC. 5 CSEC passes, only 5. And that's not very difficult to get once you do what you need to do. All right. So simply put, depending on the area of study that you want to get into, of course, now that we would have had COVID, that would have brought on a new, it would have brought on a new direction for many persons, right? So in essence, we have this term, what we call now essential services. So what you need to do is to ensure that you get into areas that are not saturated, right? So what I want you all to do, and probably your teachers can help me here if they can just plug this in. I need to go up online to the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Education's website, and you're searching for the developmental needs of Trinidad and Tobago. All right, okay, so my IT guy is helping me out here so I can see some of your responses. Thank you so very much. Right, so the developmental needs of Trinidad and Tobago, and that list will tell you all of the needs that we have in terms of careers that are available, what areas that are saturated. Saturated simply means there are a lot of people waiting to get into that area, and the areas that are not saturated, that they need people to to carry on in terms of the workforce and stuff like that. So that's the developmental needs of Trinidad and Tobago. All right, so you need to do some research in that area. And if you are not too quite certain as to what exactly you might be good at, I want you to do a peer and share at some point maybe when your friend visit or when you return to school, perhaps, or you can do it in your form and in your homeroom, where you're going to take one of your very good friends who you think know you very well, and you are going to ask that individual, tell me something that you think I'm good at. So for me, when I was in secondary school, I used to talk plenty. I still talking plenty. Now, I distinctly remember in primary school, my report book used to have Lyndon talks too much. And when I get home, I never used to be doing bad and stuff like that, 3rd, 4th and stuff like that. And time my father see that, it's licks like peas. Lyndon talks too much. I used to get licks a long time. But today, I'm getting paid to talk. Life is very funny, you have to take your situation and make it better. I just like to talk. I like counseling, I like talking to people, like motivating. So that was my niche, so I got into that area. So I want you to basically find out from your friend, tell me on a serious note, what do you think I'm good at? Probably perhaps you're good with your hands. You're good at craft. You can look at probably at fashion, designing. If you're good with your hands in terms of cooking, as we say, everybody had to eat a food. If you look at now, I'll tell you something. I eat a lot of box lunch on my day. So those of you all who course on box lunch, let me you all pull up yourself one time, right? The people who really prepare these box lunch, they make a lot of money, right? So sometimes we look down on these types of careers and say, well, I don't really want to because I don't think it will make plenty of money. They do make a lot of money because in order for you to be fed while you're at school, somebody has to prepare that. And of course, food is not very cheap. All right. So those are areas that you can get into, to get you up and running. Now, we all know that we have the general degrees, general careers that everybody wants to get into, but it is very important, as I want to reiterate, that you do something that you're passionate about, and 2, that it's something that you really would enjoy doing, so that, you know, you wouldn't really have to work a day in your life. You'll enjoy doing what you have to do. So it becomes easier. You know, customer service is much better and that kind of thing. All right. So USC, we basically have 3 campuses in Trinidad and Tobago. We have one in San Fernando, one in Maracas and Joseph in the north, and then one in Tobago. All right. Of course, we also have a number of other USCs within the Caribbean because we are a regional institution. We have one in St. Lucia, we have one in Barbados, we have one in Guyana, and one in Antigua. All right, so that's basically where we cater to. Our degrees they are accredited by the Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago. So going forward, when you look into careers, that's something that I want you to highlight. That's a highlight also. Looking into careers, please ensure that you do things that you are passionate. Make sure that the degrees that you're doing, it's things that you are, it's degrees that are legitimate. So you don't want to go and spend 3 years, 4 years in an area, and then when you do take stock, you finish your degree, you realize that it was a bootleg kind of thing, so you waste 3, 4 years of your life. All right? Ensure that these programs are accredited by the Accreditation Council or any other body that Trinidad and Tobago, or where you're looking to go and gain employment, will legitimately see this as a good piece of document that you're presenting to them. All right. So I'm looking at the times. I want to make sure that I have time for questions. I think we finish at 4. Basically, the University of the Southern Caribbean, we are well known for our cultural diversity. We have very small classes. The classes, you know, they're very intimate. All right, so that you find lecturers are not far-fetched from students. If you are having trouble, you're having struggles in terms of coping with any work, they will provide feedback for you so that you do not fail. All right, so we're all about ensuring that you, the students, are taken well, good care of. All right. Well, owing to COVID, currently all of the programs are offered online, so it's online learning at the moment, with the exception of some of them, like the nursing and some of the biology programs where they have to do labs. They come in now because of the restrictions being lifted in terms of coming back to schools. We can now allow those students to practice their labs, etc. So we're doing, so some students are on a blended, meaning face-to-face as well as online, all right? And basically our application system is now online. Before it was basically physical paper that we would have used, but it's now online. So COVID would have brought about some positive things, all right? So currently we are waiting the instructions from the Ministry of Education and by extension, the Ministry of Health, so that when the restrictions are rolled back and we do go on to our face-to-face classes, we will then revert to things like sport. We are heavy about sport. We believe in holistic education. And so that you find, we try to get you in that area where, you know, you're not only academically inclined, but you're also spiritually, emotionally attached to whatever you're doing. All right. What else can I tell you about the University of the Southern Caribbean? We basically have 2 intakes, one September and one in January. All right. And for the intake in September, we begin applications in March. Right. So you can, even when you get into Form 5, you can begin to apply at that point in time, right? But the main focus for you right now, I know you're not thinking about applying to universities, but of course you're going to be selecting your subjects very soon. So it means therefore that you must have some idea as to what you want to get into, all right? So going forward, you have what, a term, maybe next term you may be selecting. Some people do this term, some people do next term, where we're selecting your subjects. Ensure that you know what you want, and as far as possible, have a number of options. So at least 3, minimum 3 options that you can see yourself doing within the next couple of years in terms of a career that will take you to the rest of your life, through the rest of your life, right? And remember things that you are passionate about. If you're struggling, your teachers are there, your form teachers are there to help, your guidance officers are there to help. Of course, do not be bombarded by the pressures of what your friend is doing, because your friend might be cut out for something and you might be cut out for something else because you are totally different individuals, right? So I know some people, they want to go to this particular school because my friend is going to this school, you know, and then I'm doing this degree because I want to stay close to my friend, etc. Those things don't always work out, maybe in the fairy tale land, but in reality, and you have to understand that right now you're very protected in that now you are basically taken care of by your family and well, immediate family, etc. But when you hit Form 5 and you go into the real world, there is where you're going to really feel and see how things are. So this is your preparation stage, and I hope and pray that even as you prepare, that you are able to do exceptionally well as you go forward. All right. So it's now 15:42. I will entertain some questions at this time so that we have sufficient time for you to ask your questions. So I can see it here. Right. Somebody wants to become a singer, a real estate agent. All right, all these criminologists. Okay, good. So all these areas that you are you're looking into, somebody saying a surgeon, what you need to do is to do some research. I know all of you have internet, so it's not very difficult for you to do some research in terms of you know, finding out whether if these things are offered in Trinidad and Tobago. I know I can tell you the criminologists, we have that criminology and criminal justice in USC as well. If you want to become a surgeon, that's the medicine department. If you want to do biology, and let me say this, if you're looking to do biology, the courses that you have to do, the classes or the subjects that you have to do, math, English, mandatory, then you have physics, chemistry, and biology. Those three areas. That's if you want to get into the medical field, right? Zoologist, medical doctor, etc., vet, etc., right? Computing, math, English, and any other 3 CXC passes. If you have IT, would be a plus. So you want to get into that area. Nursing, you must have math and English and any other 3 CXC passes. Now, if you have a science, any science will work. If you want to get into education, education requires you to have math, English, a science, any science, and any other 2 CXC passes. That is so that the Ministry of Education can, well, they require you to have those specific passes so that you can get what's called your teacher's registration number if you're looking to get into the educational field. All right, so that as soon as you finish write your CXC, you can go and apply for your teacher's registration number if that's the desire to teach, and then you can go on to doing your degree in a particular area and qualify yourself in order to be able to follow your passion. All right, so questions. Box lunch roti does be the best. I concur to that. All right, no shame in that. What if I want to run a business and be a speaker as well as a singer? You can be all of those things if you like. Now, and that's very interesting that person made that comment. Now, the world that we live in right now, you have to be as flexible as possible. And now I don't want to underscore this as, you know, money is everything, but money is important. Yes, because in order for you to live, for you to be comfortable, for you to buy all the things that you need for your family, etc., you need money. You require money, right? So there's some people who would have to do several jobs. I know of my friend who has several streams of income. All right, so he's a volleyball coach. He works at a particular place in the government. You know, he runs his own business. He has his own business. He has a business with his wife, plus he has a taxi business. So there are multiple streams of income that he generates on a daily basis, right? What subjects are needed for study of human psychology? All you require to have, I can tell you from the perspective of the University of the Southern Caribbean, you just require to have English and any other 4 CXC passes, right? English and any other 4 CXC passes, USC. Once you have those, you can do a degree in psychology at USC. However, let me also let you know that even though you didn't hear me say math is mandatory. So any exam that you're doing, you're required to have math and English and any other 3 CXC passes in order to get your full certificate. So once you get that, you have nothing to worry about. All right? So even though you don't have the math, we will still take you into the psychology. It's always good to have that because sometimes employers look for those types of things. All right? That is where the time management comes in, right? Anyone here from NABS? If you're doing business, what subjects can you do? All right, so the mandatory subjects, math and English, and then of course you have things like principle of business, principle of accounts. Those are the 2 main business areas. You can have one or both of them there. I would also want to encourage you. I know this is something that I ran from in my time. I did not like, for the love of me, I did not like Spanish. And interestingly enough, I manage 4 national teams in Trinidad and Tobago, which simply means that we travel a lot. Well, pre-COVID, we traveled a lot. And many of the places that we traveled to were Spanish-speaking countries. Unfortunately, I dropped Spanish as soon as I could have in Form 3. But now, looking at it, it is a subject that I would recommend that anybody does because of how the world is working right now. In order for you to be able to be marketable, if you're having a second language, that'll be a plus for you. So if you can do either, the best one that I would recommend would be Spanish, but of course I know some people have issues with Spanish, so they prefer French, you know, that kind of thing. But Spanish is kind of like the next big global, global and stuff. And yes, even in the context of Trinidad and Tobago, of course, you know, our Caribbean neighbors and stuff like that, we have a diversity of cultures here in Trinidad. All right, so if you're looking to stay in Trinidad, it might be in your best interest also to do Spanish, so that, you know, when a Spanish person comes to you, a Spanish-speaking person comes to you, you'll be able to rattle off some Spanish and not being like me and making up a set of Spanish words in English Spanish words and trying to make sense with gestures and stuff like that, right? All right, so yeah, so you'll want to probably do something in that area in terms of Spanish. Right, do you have a class of accounting, culinary arts? Yes, what subjects you need for culinary arts? Culinary arts, you require to have math, English, and foods. What is it called? Whatever the food degree is called that you're doing CSEC at the moment, right? You need to do that. That would be a plus for you. In terms of accounting, basically you need to have math, English, accounting, and you're good to go. I'm not seeing everything. Somebody says, what subjects you need for mechanical engineering? Anything in the engineering field, you require to have math, English, physics, chemistry. Definitely, those 2 sciences, you must be doing well in those areas because mechanical engineering, electrical engineering carry some heavy, those heavy subjects. So you will be required to do that. Unfortunately, the University of the Southern Caribbean, we do not offer anything in engineering. We do not offer anything in fashion, but I know that there are other institutions that offer that in Trinidad and Tobago. You know, you have UTT, you have UWI, etc. We do not offer natural law, but the avenue that we have is for law would be to do a degree in either English or history, which is the foundation, and then you branch off into getting into law. All right. Say again. All right, so I'm just going to have to sign in. I'm not signed in. Right, so so for those of you all who probably perhaps if we run out of time and you want to send questions to the University of the Southern Caribbean, you can simply take down this email address, info, maybe if my tech guy could help me, info, that's info at usc.edu.tt. So info, if you need any information as it relates to courses, what you require to have, dermatologist. I'm not too quite sure what that is. Could you probably, Samara, could you tell me what that is?
It's a dermatologist, Lyndon, a dermatologist, a skin doctor.
A skin doctor, okay, right. So anything in the medical field, you require to have all sciences, right? So you are thinking about math, English, biology, physics, and chemistry. You have to do those things if you want to get in anywhere into those areas. All right. An architect, right? So you need to become. You need to do definitely one of the subjects you have to do is TD. And well, back in the day, we would have also had to do physics, right? But definitely TD is a subject. If your school is offering technical drawing, you should be doing that in order for you to get into to architecture. Subjects are required for theater arts. Now, some of these things are more general, general, broad areas, so that once you're doing what we term modern studies, is that a term that we still use? I think yes, the modern studies area, social studies, and those types of subjects, you should be able to get into that. But if you're looking to get into theater art, and if your school is offering drama as a subject, I would recommend that you also do that. But I know that not all schools offer those types of subjects. So even though if they don't, all hope is not lost, because the good thing about selecting subjects is that they categorize subjects in various. So we have in various categories. So we have sciences, we have the modern studies, we have the behavioral sciences, we have business, etc. Right? So anybody looking to get into entrepreneurship and those things, that would be the business area. Anything in the social sciences, education, social sciences area, you're talking about social studies, subjects such as economics or POA, POP, those areas. All right. If you want to become anything in sport, and yes, you also have to study if you want to become something in sport, become successful in sport, because you always have to have a backup plan. Yes, you might have talent, and this is a question that I oftentimes get from students, mostly males. You're looking to get in, you want to play sport, you're skillful in football, but you have to also take into consideration if you are, perhaps if you get injured while let's say you get a professional contract and you get injured, then you must have something behind your name in order for you to carry on, right? So it's equally important that you ensure that you have some backing, whether it be a trade, some skill, vocational, something that you're able to fall back on in order, just in the event of have a second plan. All right. What advice would you give the dermatologist or the pediatrician? All right. So these things. Now, advice I would give. Now, please. Sometimes we look at careers and we say, I think I would like to do that. But when we look at what really it entails, if you know that you're not a person who really can't stand children, don't get into those types of areas. Think about it. A child crying all the time in your head and stuff like that. Unless you really like that, you're not going to show the care and attention that is required in those type of areas. Similarly, if you know that sometimes we intentionally scorn people, right? Somebody has something on their skin, they're having some skin disorder, something like that. And if you know that you are a person who, can't really look at those things very long, those are areas that you should not get into. Similarly, you can't take blood. Don't get into nursing, don't get into medicine, because the first sight of blood, you are going to faint, right? And just think about somebody coming in from an accident point of view, where their bones protruding here, perhaps over the eyebrow here, blood gushing out, that kind of thing. Some people cannot. I recall somebody who wanted to get into that area, and time they saw that they fainted, never went back. All right. So those are some of the realities that you will face. In terms of becoming a pilot, again, general areas, physics is important. Definitely physics. You must be doing physics, math, and English. And of course, you can do. You will have to do things. You'll have to do research in that area in terms of where you can go in terms of studying to become a pilot. They will require you to have additional qualifications. Perhaps you'll have to do first aid and things like that. All right. A designer. For most parts, a designer, you must be skillful, right? You must be skillful in order for you to be doing that. But as it relates to subjects, if you have something like clothing and textile, those are areas that you want to do. That will give you the foundation and the ideas of going forward. Business POB, for business also is also POB. Yes, POB, POA as well, or the both of them. What will you need for real estate? Real estate, you don't really need subjects per se, but for real estate, to get into real estate, you can do a course in that particular area. All right. So you're looking to get into that. Maybe perhaps I would suggest geography, because you need to understand, you know, the atmosphere and stuff like that. You know, in terms of house building, those kind of things. So what you will want to find, what you will want to do is to basically do the general subjects, and then you can do some professional enhancement courses that will help you to get into that specific area. I'm seeing somebody saying basketball, they want to become a basketballer. Again, yes, I mean, natural talent, all you need is natural talent. You will need to be doing physical education as a subject, definitely. What subject you need to, for football? Definitely, you'll have to do physical education. But of course, again, I need to underscore math, English, physical education. Depending on where you're going, you might need to do a foreign language, because you might get a contract to go somewhere, some different part of the world, you know, that kind of thing. Right. So we're seeing that. Okay, I'm not seeing everything. Somebody asked what's my job. So I'm a recruitment officer at the University of the Southern Caribbean. So I basically recruit students to the university. I am responsible basically for all the schools in Trinidad and Tobago, and by extension, the Caribbean region. All right, so we go right up the island promoting USC, telling students of the courses that we offer, the programs that we offer, and how they can gain entry into any one of our programs. All right. Okay, so I'm seeing things delayed. I guess that's what's happening. I'm seeing it delayed. So I'm now seeing it present popping up. What subjects I need for track and field? Again, anything in sport, you must be doing physics. And depending on what area you want to specialize in, whether it be football, basketball, cricket, track and field, etc., you are going to be doing your project based on that. All right. No, I'm not a speaker. No, I'm a recruitment officer. What is a good job to make money? All right, so let me caution you about that, right? Any job is good. Any job is good once you enjoy doing what you do. All right. Now, if you're looking to make big bucks, maybe the easiest thing I would want to suggest to do is that you start your own business. But it all depends on what you are offering, what product you're offering. All right. Outside of that, you know, you can get into one of the highest areas, you know, politics in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm not sure how many of you can deal with that, right? But politics, you can make a lot of money. Some people say law, engineering, those type of things. But I don't want you all to focus on the money aspect. Be very careful with that. Yes, money is important. I want to underscore that. You notice how much time I'm saying this. Many times students think all I want to do is to make money. Right, good. That's all good. But you can't only study about making money. Your health is important, because all the money that you're making in life, if you're not taking care of your health and you're not managing your stress levels, it means that the money that you're making, you're going to have to take and pump into providing for doctor bills. All right. What advice you would give someone who can run my business, singer and speaker, also program, would you recommend for me? In terms of business, definitely get into business, where you can do a BBA, which is a Bachelor of Business Administration, in either finance, accounting, or management. Management might be a better thing for you if you're looking to run your own business. And even though you're running your own business, it doesn't mean that you have to be there day and night. It simply means that you can have people that you trust operating your business, so that they in turn will be able to ensure that they're making sure that your profits are coming in. All right. Yes, please.
Hi.
Time up.
Yes. So we have roughly about 1 minute again.
All right.
So you can, in that, just repeat your email address for students, because I see the questions are coming fast and furious. So for those who may have had their questions unanswered and want to send them to you, just
right. Okay. Info, that's INFO, info@usc.edu.tt. INFO@usc.edu.tt. TT. Okay, so I'm seeing everything delayed here. All right. So let me thank you also very much. And as we close, I just want to play something about your future. 30 seconds, basically. My IT guy is going to put that up. And let me thank you all for the opportunity to just briefly speak with you within the time that was allotted. I do hope that something today would have inspired you, you know, to go on further in getting your careers and becoming successful persons in society. All right? Yeah? That was allotted. I do hope that something today would have inspired you, you know, to go on further in getting your careers and becoming successful persons in society. All right? Oh, that's me. Yeah? That was allotted. I do hope that something today would have inspired you, you know, to go on further in getting your careers and becoming successful persons in society. All right? Oh, that's me.
Spiritual awareness, a drug-free environment, intellectual curiosity, my future, my education.
That was allotted. I do hope that something today would have inspired you, you know, to go on further in getting.
Okay, so I do see that Mr. Simmons is having a little bit of technical difficulties there. But Mr. Simmons, I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. Mr. Simmons, are you hearing me?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So I want to thank you for joining us this evening, for sharing with our Form 3 some of the options that they do have available at the University of the Southern Caribbean. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you appreciate the information that you would have gotten, seeing some of the diversity that exists at the University of the Southern Caribbean and some of the opportunities that you will have access to should you decide to become a student there. So again, Mr. Simmons, thank you on behalf of Student Support Services, the Victoria District. Thank you, your IT team, for helping out. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this afternoon on day 2 of our virtual career fair. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Please, if there any of you have friends who have not yet joined us, they've missed 2 days, please encourage them to come out tomorrow, to come into the room, join us. And we look forward to having a fun-filled, information-packed day tomorrow as well. So see you all tomorrow afternoon. And then I used to